What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Vigo's Court. It's Judge Vader here, and today I am joined by not Counselor Q, but by Counselor Fear.
What's up, everybody? Dark Wolf over here, hanging out.
Yep, exactly what we love to see. First time we've been able to have Fear the Dark Wolf and Vader on the same desk here, so I'm pretty excited. I don't know about you, Fear.
Pretty pumped. I mean, it's not every day I get to co-host with my team captain, so I'm gonna give you a lot of shit while we do this. It should be fun.
100%, and I deserve all of that. I mean, 100%. I tell Shep the same thing. All right, guys, let's go ahead and let's get excited though for IA and Hex Girls. Really, this is gonna be a fun matchup. I'm seeing here that it looks like Jazzy's our killer for Hex Girls here, so I think that's gonna be interesting to see how IA can hang with Jazzy.
Yeah, Jazzy's pretty well known, so I'm expecting good things.
Mm-hmm. I'd say knowing Jazzy though, we expect the S tiers to come out here.
You would think at least. I mean, it's early on, but he might want to set the tone straight away with it. That would be my guess. So he's gonna come out swinging.
You know, it definitely is interesting though. We've seen some teams come out with those S tiers early on in the season, and we see other teams electing to really hold on to those, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, how do you feel teams maybe should go about that, or how would you go about that if you were deciding for a team?
Well, in my experience, you want to save those until you really need them, right? Mm-hmm. So they got 12 games, 11 or 12 games this season, right?
Yep.
Can only use the same killer 2 times. That means you have to have at least 12 killers that you're confident with, right? Mm-hmm. So you get a double use out of them, or you might only have, a few and you just throw the others out here and there. But definitely, you're gonna want to save those S tiers for like when you need to make that stamp, or if you need to catch up later in the game, right?
Right.
So it's either you want to start out strong or you want to end strong to bring that gap closer.
For sure, and I think we've seen teams try to use the S tier to go ahead and put that stamp on it initially, right? And then if the game doesn't go their way, sometimes you question, all right, you're right now you're down now, even though you brought out the S tier to go ahead and try to set the tone off right. Do you bring another S tier and burn another use on an S tier, or just go cut your losses and try to use somebody else, maybe a high A or something?
Yeah, I think that really comes down to what the score is. If it's an achievable score, if you start with the S tier, right? Let's say you start with the S tier and you don't have a very good showing. You get to that next game, and let's say you're in the middle, right? You use your killer first, and then you got to go right back at killer. At that point, you really got to think, are my survivors going to be able to pull this out for me? And then on the other end, if you're starting killer first and then ending with killer, you really have to hope that your survivors in the middle gave you some buffer room so that you don't need to use the S tier at the end, right? You can kick back a little bit, not all the way, but just a little bit. Maybe drop into a B tier.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note as well, like we have seen, as you said, like there are only 2 uses for each killer, right? We've actually already seen Wraith get eliminated from use on a team, so we won't see Arctic Wolves bring out Wraith again in this league until maybe after playoffs, if they get to playoffs, because they've already used both their uses in the first 2 weeks, already gone.
So to a lot of people, Wraith is really like a B or C tier killer,
right?
So it's not that big of a deal to get your Wraith uses out and make good of them and then move on, right? Mm-hmm. It'd be a very different story if they already used Nurse twice in the first 2 weeks, right? Because whether you want to agree with it or not, Nurse is the best killer in this game,
right? And I for one would actually have to agree with you. I can't say that that Nurse is not the best. I would have to wholeheartedly agree. Nurse is the best killer, just able to put so much pressure down on survivors that it's really rare to see, especially in comp, teams just do amazingly well versus a Nurse, right? So I'd have to agree. And let's talk about the map we're going to, though, real quick, because we will be going to Grim Pantry. So honestly, that could go ahead and affect our killer choices here as well, right?
Absolutely.
So with Grim Pantry, we are at about average size map there. Definitely with that 9 hook minimum, 14 hook maximum. There's less space in between the hooks naturally on this map. There's not a lot of structure between the hooks as well, so you really can get a good amount of travel between to try to get that further hook and try to hook into a 3-gen. So this map is pretty powerful for not only the survivors but the killer.
Yeah, and Grim Pantry, just like Pale Rose, is honestly, ironically, one of the maps that you don't see S tiers on. Right? A lot of the times you see some kind of distance killer or high mobility killer. Not necessarily a blight, right? Because there's stuff to bounce off, but not a ton. Right?
And collision is horrible on this map.
Right. So you're looking at your Freddy's, your demos. Trickster does very well. Doctor does very well. Huntress does very well. I would be surprised to see an S tier come out in this game. I really would.
I think you're right there, because for sure, even with the especially with like the pit that kind of happens in that like center of the map, that's prime Huntress territory. The amount of times I see a Huntress do so well because they're coming from that shack side and overlooking as if they're really on a hill, right? It's almost like a permanent hill spawn. So anybody working on the gens in those mid sections there, prime territory for Huntress to just throw down, right?
Yeah. It's looking like they're readied up, so hopefully we're just about ready to get this started.
Yeah, it is looking that way. I'm waiting on confirmation for our builds, but honestly, should be starting here pretty soon. And it's funny you said, though, that on this map, we don't see any let's see. We don't see any of those blights or anything. So for sure, I want to see, who do you think Jazzy brings? Because I know Jazzy loves playing Blight, loves playing Billy, also likes playing Nurse quite a bit. But really, if we don't see a Nurse here, who's the play?
Well, I love seeing your Fang there, but I think you should be spectating.
You are quite right.
I think, knowing Jazzy, man, you know, he might come out with a Doctor, because this is such a large map, and Doctor's ability to kind of shut down some loops, find people with the free information could be viable. It's hard to tell, because as you said, Jazzy is usually a top tier kind of killer. So I'd be surprised to see what he does. Maybe a Trickster, especially with the buff that he got. He's pretty viable on this map.
I think if it's indeed a Trickster, I think that's an exciting match for us to definitely be able to call, see how Jazzy does on Trickster. But I think I'm gonna go with either Huntress or a Deathslinger. I think either one of those I could see Jazzy bringing. I think Trickster for the first match, I don't think Trickster gives you the statement you might be looking for. So I don't know. Though. Maybe.
It depends. If they have really, really good aim, it's really difficult. Really, it's like you said, it's so open. So the Trickster will have line of sight for a long time.
Yeah, and definitely that will affect the play quite a bit. So guys, of course our killer is scoring through those hook states. So with 1 and 2 points, or 2 points for the first 2 hooks, and then 3 points for the last hook, progressions being worth 1 less, and a 4K giving 2 extra points. we have a 30-point total available for the killers, so we'll see how close Jazzy can score to that 30-point perfect score.
Absolutely. Ooh.
And we're seeing a Bubba. Interesting.
So he might be hoping for the lethality that Bubba can apply. He only really needs to get one, and then he can hold them.
Yeah.
If he gets one early.
For sure. Play on the altruism, which we have seen. Immortal Alliance is a pretty altruistic heavy team, if I'm being honest. So I think for Cannibal here, this is for Bubba. This is a good play.
For sure. And we do see that he finds someone just starting on a gen, so he's going to push them off. He does have Corrupt up, which is actually in a pretty good area if you saw where the spread was. And he's going to have to use all his charges to catch them, and he does easily. Especially with, the way the rework is on him. Like, he's got a lot of speed and distance that he can get out of that chainsaw now.
Yeah, for sure. As well as, I mean, you got to think about this, right? Like, we all know about, like, Jazzy's flicks on Blight and things like that. But for sure, that kind of translates. I believe
that was a pop right there, so he's just going to regress it. Every hook's going to be regressed. That gen's almost dead now.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that's definitely something these survivors are going to have to pay attention to. Looks like we're going back towards that hook. Go ahead and push Nancy off of wanting to get the save. You can see kind of trying to play off the wanted altruism here. Make sure this person goes to second hook, and the earlier you can get that kill, the better. But with seeing both those survivors off gen right there, like, this honestly is giving Jazzy unneeded pressure, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We do see one gen pop off in the distance, but you know that there are 3 people not working on gens. So the best that other person can do is start on a fresh gen right now. That means he has 60 to 80 seconds to really not care. He can just sit there, push them to second, push them off this gen, and he has no worries. I'm surprised that they're actually letting their presence be known as much as they are right now.
For sure, I think a lot of survivors do try to do that to kind of take the aggro. You hear that a lot, right? Like, hey, somebody come take aggro. Smart killers are not going to give you chase, though. I think, and definitely at the higher levels, we end up seeing that, right? Like a killer will go ahead and see you and go, okay, cool, I see you, noted. That means you're not on a gen, so I don't really worry about you at that point. If I already have a hook and I have a goal in mind, I'm not worried about what you're doing at that point.
And if we do take note, the timer has paused on that survivor, so that is camaraderie for sure on that hook right now. That first one he downed is the bar has not moved.
That is really good perk recognition. I love it because I totally wasn't even paying attention to that, gonna be honest. So awesome. I'm sure our killer has also taken note, hopefully, as well as Fear has here, because that's quite a bit that's quite a bit of time that they'd be able to sit on there and allow gens to get done, right?
Yeah, and it's a very unfortunate position they're in right now because they're side by side. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He has a 3 gen right here, 2 people on hook. He does not care what gens you do in the distance. It does not matter. He's going to push this one to second and hopefully that one to death. Anyone who comes in here is a death zone.
Yeah. I don't think Techno Badger, is that not? No, that's Dark. I don't think Dark wants to go in here right now. Dark going all the way towards the edge. That means that the other survivor is probably trying to go for the save. There it is right there. But really, that's almost not what you want to see, right? From like survivor, right?
Absolutely not. You know, in a situation where the killer is just holding back, you need to push the gens. You really do. You know, they're in a lose-lose situation right now because, you know, this person may last like a couple 10 to 20 seconds or they'll leave, but you know, there's no gen progress being made and it's still a 3 gen. And
Yeah,
they got nowhere from that.
Definitely, Jazzy showing off some of the power they have with this hillbilly right now. Right now, we're unfortunately forced into throwing a lot of our resources that maybe could be used when we get down to those last couple gens near that 3-gen, but instead we're forced to throw it or go down. And really, you almost don't want to go down anymore, is what it's looking like from these survivors, right?
Yeah, he's trying to extend the chase. They do get another gen done, which is good. But I mean, this Bubba does not care. He is in control of this match right now. Everything that's happening behind him, he does not care about. And as you said, they're just throwing all these pallets, ruining any chance for late game resources. They've already thrown four or five pallets for a short chase. I mean, it was a decently long chase, but you know what I mean? It ends the same. They're going right back into the 3-gen. That's exactly where he wants him.
I will make note as well. We were seeing what is that perk? Deadlock, yes. So for sure, we just saw a gen get released from it, but that gen had almost no progress on it. So what that also is able to tell our killer is that there's not really any there's not pressure of another gen. Well, you know what? Never mind. I was wrong, because that gen flew.
Yeah, Deadlock, honestly, I have to say, is not, I don't think, been working the way people think it does lately. Because it's supposed to block the gen with the most progress, but it's not. It has not done that in this game. It's blocked the same gen each time, and that gen has no progress.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I was like, the only way I could see that happening is if somebody had brought repressed and repressed the 99 gen instead of allowing it for it to get blocked by Deadlock, so that Deadlock blocks the wrong gen. I have seen teams in other leagues utilize that. Not saying that's what happened here.
We'll have to check at the end just to see if there was a repress in play. Otherwise, I have seen Deadlock doing random things that don't really make sense.
Well, it does also look like they're doubling up on gens, so that definitely affects kind of our calculations at where those gens should be, right?
Yep. And right now, you know Ace is going back for that save. There it is. She's going to try to waste some time here, but this is another resource that's going to get chewed up.
Oh,
he goes for the hit, which is pretty surprising the way he's been playing so far.
For sure, but you kind of, I honestly would say that was kind of zoning. Didn't break the pallet until Nancy's in bad position. Oh, he's blocking your window, Nancy. What are you going to do about it?
I'm surprised he didn't use that last charge to get her. I really am.
I think that just didn't call the fact that they didn't vault.
And we do see that Chili is helping with his recharge rate, so he's really, he's recharging. He's gonna get her right here up on this hill.
Yeah, unless you can reach that vault or the locker, making the locker play. What's funny is I think they would have made the vault actually, and they do not know the timing. They do not.
We do see the final gen go off, which is actually surprising. I didn't think they were going to have the time yet with the healing they did, but they did finish all the gens, which is super impressive, especially the way Jazzy has been running this Bubba this whole game.
You know what, though? At that point, I say don't go for save. Get out right here, because, I mean, if IA does that, they actually, I think they end up maybe only being down by a point.
Yeah, this is going to be very close. Jazzy did a great job. He did not really have to leave that whole time. He stayed on that side of the map 80% of that game. He barely left.
Right. Yeah, and for sure, we are seeing, if that scoreboard is accurate, we're seeing a 13-14 game, only being down by a single point. So for sure, as much pressure as Jazzy had in the beginning of that match, that is very significant to be able to see almost a tie game. Like, you didn't end up really losing anything with that match if you're IA.
No, you really didn't. But if you do look at the end perks there was no repress. So that was, again, that's Deadlock not working correctly. I've noticed that way too often. And it's supposed to block the next gen with the most progress, so it should have blocked that one that was just about done. Instead, it blocked the one right there that had no progress on. It's unfortunate, but DBD do DB things.
For sure. And yeah, that is pretty unfortunate. Looks like we're going to see Techno Badger killing here. I don't think I've seen Techno Badger kill before, so I think I'm in for a treat for sure.
I know Techno Badger pretty well, and I know their main, but I'm not going to say anything.
Ah, I see. I do appreciate that, that way I can be surprised for one. Let me go ahead and try to get our other survivors in here real quick, as long as I can invite one of them. But for sure, should be a fun match. This is almost like 0-0 still, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, based off of the performance that Jazzy did, and for them to keep it to a 1-point exchange is very, very good. That's a good thing. And you could tell. I don't know that person with camaraderie was caught on purpose, but it definitely helped them. If it was anybody else that got caught in the beginning, he would have had a lot more pressure.
Yeah, because that would have been a really early kill. That camaraderie play was for sure it was a pretty good play. Honestly, don't think any other perk would have helped you out more being in that situation.
Yeah, and I think that's also why they risked going around that tower just to get close enough to proc it. And, they got caught, but still, it saved a lot of time, let the other people work on that gen in the distance, and then obviously get onto the pier and do that one as well.
It's interesting, though, like you said, like, they were risking getting close enough to the tower, but at the same time, I think what was more risky was seeing them send multiple people, what seemed to be multiple people towards it. Like, I would think you'd want everybody else as far away as possible. It's a Bubba. You don't want to give up that kind of pressure. And if you send one person, you're sending... you're probably not sending your deli. You're sending a borrowed time person that's like... If they get caught, sure, but then maybe you can get an unhook, something like that. But yeah, it was honestly really good 2K from Bubba, and really good to escape from Immortal Alliance, where didn't think they were going to get out.
Yeah, no, there was a really good turnaround. I think, though, they were a little preemptive in that attempt. So when we saw the two people running towards it, they hadn't hit second stage yet. So there was no need at that time. They could have used that time elsewhere more productively. But, I mean, they still kept it to a 1-point game. There's no fault in that. I mean, that's a very well done. And it was a very smart choice by Jazzy, because you can't... It's almost impossible to unhook against a Bubba. You just can't do it.
But at the same time, like, because of the progressions that happened, even though you had, like, an 8-state game, we see that it was you're only in a 1-point lead. And so definitely showing Bubba's strength for sure, putting pressure on other survivors and kind of hoping for the snowball. But at the same time, you wonder, would another pick possibly have gotten more points?
I think they're doing what I would expect to be done right now. So they're using lower killers in the beginning to kind of feel out the team. Okay, do we need a stronger killer than this, or can we just keep playing these type of killers? And I do think that they saw that, there was some value in a safe pick like a Bubba, like a B tier killer, but they might need to step it up towards the end here. We got to see how their survivors do.
That's true, and I will say, Hex Girls seem to have pretty okay survivors before, and with the addition of seeing Jazzy playing Survivor there, I know we may see some pretty altruistic gameplay here. I know Jazzy's pretty aggressive to taking some body blocks and things, so we'll see how that plays in. Let's go ahead and review how our survivors are going to be able to score, though. So for sure, we're going to be looking for those gens getting done, just like IA just did with us. Getting that first and second gen at 1 point each, third and fourth gen is 2 points, and the fifth gen being worth 3 points there. But definitely those escapes are more valuable at that first and second escape being 1 and 2 points, but the third and fourth escape combining for 10 points being 3 and 6 points, respectively. There's 26 points available for our survivors here, and we're ready to go ahead and go.
Oh, and we do see an executioner.
I like this pick here, actually. I think with the executioner laying down some of those trails can definitely take a couple perks out of the game. We've seen it a few times already where somebody may have decisive strike and then boom, you're in a cage. Doesn't matter. Or somebody has deli and same thing, like go ahead, set the cage early game. So it'll be interesting to see how it gets played.
We do see them try to get a cheeky blind off right in the beginning, but as you said, his power can be very good at, you know, causing them not to be able to utilize the perks that they want. All those second chance perks, they kind of get denied by the executioner. And we do see the gen regressing on its own up there, so that will tell us there's a ruin.
Oh, and we do see that Pyramid Head goes ahead and tries to use punishment there, where I think instead they should have just pulled up the knife and swung, and Jazzy went ahead and punished for it.
Yeah, it's I can tell from like their perspective. They were thinking about it, but there is that like half a second before you can swing after you let go. So I think they were hoping they would back up a little more, but it didn't work out in their favor. And we do see a first gen go off. We do see Corrupt up. And if I'm looking at correctly, I do see 4 gens covered, not 3, which will again tell us about Deadlock.
Yeah, it's really common to see a lot of killers bringing it, and I just don't know about its power as a perk, bugged or not. Like, I just don't think it's that powerful of a perk. Wow, look at this, though. That was a pretty good prediction shot.
Yeah, that was a very good punishment of the dam. But so it can have a lot of potential at saving your 3 gen. It's situational at best, I would say. I think people are still trying to get a feel for the perk since it's so new.
Yeah, I think it's good in terms of gives you a little bit of surveillance on maybe where the gen pressure is. But I don't know. I think overall as a perk, it's just not the best choice for most killers.
And you will see them use their punishment of the dam to get that free down and a hit on the borrowed time, and this is going to be a second down. So this will be the time to hope that they have D-Strike to get out of this, or they're going to be in a bad spot. And they do not have D-Strike.
Yeah, that definitely is unfortunate. Hoping Jazzy crawled away, and we do see Jazzy getting up. Maybe an Unbreakable, but most likely got picked up by somebody else.
Yeah, you would really hope that they would not have to use their Unbreakable so early, but it's hard to tell. And we do see the gen still regressing, so we still know that Ruin is up. It makes me wonder: are the other survivors over there on the dock doing the gen over there, or are they going to try to come get this save? Because this will be a very poor time to lose somebody. And I think I just heard some whining behind.
Yeah, I thought I did too, but I thought it might have just been me. I'm pretty sure somebody was on that gen for a second there. I do want to note, though, the Shack gen actually had been deadlocked before, but when we walked over there, it was completely dead. So for sure, I think we are seeing that Ruin definitely get a lot of value.
For sure. And this is looking like this is going to be a death. They would have to come in with 2 people right now, and I don't think they're going to do it.
You missed the scratch marks, I think. I saw Jazzy, I think, going around. I think the save comes here.
Yeah, I don't know that there's time. Oh, he does get it. Wow, very nicely done.
So if you looked right across the edge of the map, there were scratch marks indicating that somebody had been there. They were fading. And then I don't know if you saw what I saw, but the timer stopped. I think you found your camaraderie as well, giving you the extra time you need in order to catch all the way up and able to get the save. Really good play by Hex Girls.
Yeah, if that was a camaraderie, that was nicely done. It was very late, but still they got it off. And they do get the heal off.
An amazing play to go ahead and take pressure away from this killer, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Jazzy's just gonna, hold W and try to extend this chase, and the Techno's gonna drop it. And he knows that he can't catch up at this point, and he does hear someone on his bones.
Yeah, and really, like, how lucky was that totem spawn right in the middle of your 4-gen? Gonna make it really difficult for any survivor here. Ooh.
Unless he has Dead Hard, there it is, and he gets corrupt, and he's going down.
I would almost cage because it sends him away from the 4-gen, I feel like. But I could understand why you'd want him in the basement instead.
Oh man, yeah, to have basement here and your totem, and this is a very good position. And then coming up, if he does happen to have D strike, he can just cage him right away.
That's true.
He's just checking to make sure nobody is on that totem. He does see Claudette, and Claudette does try to get a little cheeky blind, a little clicky. We do see scratch marks going around the shack again. I'm not sure if our killer noticed.
I don't know. We've seen a couple times where our killer has missed the scratch marks, so they are subtle sometimes.
Yeah, I think he knows that they were trying to get that ruin right now, and he keeps pushing him off. Now he has two objectives to really watch. He has to watch the person in the basement and the totem, but I don't think they have the time to get the totem. So Jazzy's going to take chase, try to pull him away from the basement. We do see sparks fly off of that gen off to the side.
Yeah. So, I think we have survivors punishing both gens there. I was going to say that gen right outside shack. We keep hearing Claudette with progress. And opposite on the other side, we're seeing, who is that, Nia progressing the other one. So this is a great way to split and pressure out a 3-gen. Make sure that if this survivor dies in basement, they're not dying in vain, right?
Yeah, and I'm surprised that they haven't broken that totem, because he's paying too much attention to this gen right now. That was plenty of time to get rid of that ruin. But they are doing a very good job of trying to split his priority right now.
For sure, and I don't think Pyramid's Head's punishment actually travels down like that. I'm pretty sure that Jazzy wouldn't have gotten hit if he stayed on the totem, but I think just going
I think it would hit him up in the midsection, because it will go straight over. But I think it would still hit on the totem. But we do see Jazzy go down, and we do see a broken status, so that's going to tell me that's a second win play.
Yeah, which unfortunately, because of our killer choice here, he was already in mend, so he doesn't get a heal. He gets to be mended.
And that's a very good accident, I would say, because, to fall into something like that is very good for the killer, because now this survivor is not healed. They do finish another gen, so there's only one gen left. So effectively, they have broken his 3-gen, and he just barely misses that punishment of the damned.
Yeah, that is a good amount of pressure lost, though, because at this point, with those powerful pallets underneath, this survivor is able to get quite a bit of distance and really extend this chase. And if you're Pyramid Head, you are worried about that last gen going off.
Oh, absolutely. And it still seems like he has a 3-gen, semi 3-gen, and we do see that they did get rid of the ruin as well.
Yep, and listen to those gens. That top one not progressed at all, so for sure. Just coming and checking over and going back to where the injured survivor might still be, but probably not. Nope, there they are. And we do see, looks like Quentin's going to go with the little good old lunchbox right there, first aid kit.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not sure on this choice to move this far away from your 3 gen right now. I'm not sure that that's the choice, unless he's just trying to cut losses at this point and just get somebody. But there's no pressure on that side of the map at all, and
Oh,
that was a nicely attempted dead hard.
it really was. Oh, and the final judgment, love to see it.
Free Mori, thank you very much. But I think this gen's gonna pop before he gets there.
I would have to agree. I think it's going to be that far one, not this close one right here that we're just passing. But
Yep.
yeah. Oh, wait a minute
And
though.
Claudette had the adrenaline.
Yeah, but somebody else is also fast. Do you notice that?
I did, and I think they're gonna find out right here why.
Yep,
There it
indeed.
is.
That is going to be our no-ed play here. So for sure. Oh no, is that... Do you see what I see?
Yeah, it's right there. They're gonna take the 2 and just leave. There's no way they're
I
gonna
don't
come
think
for
there's
this.
any way they come over here.
Yeah.
And that's
And
a
he gets the
fresh
fresh hook.
Oh my goodness, and the hatch.
So that should be a pretty close game as well. Score-wise, I would think.
Yeah, because there were progressions there as well. I think that we may end up going into this with a tie game. That is like, I think that is almost point for point right there. Although, if what I'm seeing is correct right now, it looks like Hex Girls is actually still ahead by an extra point.
I think they got that 1 point. Yep.
Interesting. So see, this is a really slow burn. It is a 2-point game. Hex Girls extending their extending their lead by 1 point with each trial.
So if you are IA right now, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking you gotta bring IA. I don't think you go full S here. And it's just because within the league you're trying to make sure you're one up on your division leaders, right? Every other game of course does matter, but like really it's your divisional matches that matter the most to you. And for that reason, you almost want to hold the S tiers back for them, don't you?
At times, yeah, I think. But I think, like, in a situation like this, it's been 1 point, 2 points. So I think... can you head back over to Killer so the lobby won't start?
Sure,
I think they're going to need to... I think they're going to need... I mean, if I was picking from, like, right now, you need someone that can be more mobile, right? Because... he was not very mobile. Like, he was able to shut down an area, but he was not able to stop anything, right? They still were able to do 2 gens right in his face, you know? So I'm thinking maybe a Freddy, maybe a demo, someone who can move across the map quicker. Close off some loops, so that's why I kind of say Freddy. Who else would be a good pick? I just don't think you bring like the Huntresses or anything like that right now. Yeah, I don't think you can afford that little of pressure.
Okay, that's fair. I feel like if you like the Bubba game, right? Where Bubba really was able to get a bunch of pressure by being able to punish and punish quickly. I think that's why I would say like Huntress, especially like Oak Half, Babushka, could be really easy to go ahead, have that early pressure, and be able to throw those hatchets and hopefully get the downs, because a lot of those obstacles are actually short enough that you can throw over.
Yeah, if you've got the aim, sure, she's viable, but you have to remember, again, she's only a 110. So she's going to be moving slower already, and this map is spread pretty wide. There's only 1 gen in that middle, so then you have a whole perimeter to worry about. So, I mean, she does benefit a little bit from being able to be up on the pier and on the dock and, you know, throw some hatchets at people. But I just think if you're trying to get like a 4K right now, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
So far, it's been 2K. You want that 4K right now to increase your point gap, right? Because you don't want to be 2 points behind. You don't want to end up being 3 points behind going into your final match.
Right? Like, this is going down to the wire, and you don't really want it to. You want a comfortable lead, right? Like, I think even Hex Girls right now is going, we need a 3 out. Like, enough with this 2 out. We got to get at least 3. We need to get a lead, and a comfortable lead. Like, we have the lead, but it's almost difficult to call that a lead, right?
Right. It's kind of like is sort of a lead, but I mean,
yeah.
Realistically, they know as survivors, they know that 3rd and 4th outs are the most points they get. Period. So that's what they have to get. You keep getting these 2 outs, you're just going to be skirting that distance. You know, you want to start, sprinting a little bit here and forget about jogging. You know, you need to put on the pressure, put the pedal down, and really make this game your favor, either side.
Oh, for sure. So, hey, for that survivors, that means do them gens. Objective time overall. Else, for the killer, you better protect them gens. These survivors are out here trying to make them fly off the shelves. So you gotta go ahead, protect those gens, get those hooks, have those chases be short. So I think that's the game plan for each of them.
I think that a lot of the time, I guess looks like we lost the lobby.
Yeah, that was weird.
You see a lot of times in comp where the teams will, for killer at least, right? They'll be like, oh, here's my 3-gen. Oh, here's my 4-gen. But sometimes you got to go out. You got to go out and get those kills. Go out and pull them off those gens. Don't let them do them. You know? And you don't want to be putting that late game pressure when there's 3-4 gens left, right? When you have all the 7 gens up, that's when you need to put some pressure out there so you can force them into you, right? If you just sit there and let them do what they're gonna do, you're gonna watch the gens go boom, 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 and then you're gonna have 3 left to protect.
Which honestly ends up being, I mean, we've seen that a few times, right? Like where teams are able to just get it done.
Yeah, I mean, a really good team. They're gonna notice when you're working your 3-gen, and they're gonna say, okay, fine, we'll do that later. Because then they know that you're not gonna leave. They can go in, get hit, back out, rinse, repeat, heal, come back in, keep chipping away at it. Eventually, they'll finish it because the dry kicks only give you so much regression, and then for all the survivor has to do is like a half-second touch, and then it stops. So you really need someone with some mobility right now, because that seems to be what happened both games, right? Jazzy had an amazing game as a Bubba. He stopped, pretty much said, "This is my side of the map. You guys stay over there," and they still got 2 out. And then Executioner tried the same-ish tactic. It didn't really work. Right, same idea. They pulled him away for him to get that other kill, which allowed the 2 out. So, I think you need someone to come in and do some real serious pressuring immediately. Get someone, hook them, and forget the camp game. Hook them, leave, go get somebody else.
Well, as well as you get more points for that. I think, I don't know if you see on the scoreboard. We weren't looking at the updated score before. It's 28-27. IA has the lead.
So see, still 1 point.
Yep, we're in a 1-point matchup, but because of the performance, actually, they're not having as many progressions as Bubba did, having more unhooks and rehooks. We actually do see the point flip, and IA is in the lead. So for sure, I think the mobility is where you want to be, because if they get unhooked, okay, sure. But as long as you can have good chases and go ahead and get them back on a hook, that still gives you a clear advantage.
Right. And again, this is Grim Pantry. This isn't, Ironworks or something. There's not a whole ton of obstacles here, right? Yeah. You don't even have an L&T wall, really. They don't really exist in this map. You have some weird shapes, and then you have a lot of logs, right? You have a lot of unsafe pallets. So having some mobility will tear through that stuff.
That's true. That is true. So for sure, we'll see how our survivors for Hex Girls can hang with this killer as we get set to go. Looks like we are already connecting in here. Everybody is readied up. So not gonna have to wait too long to see if somebody can pull away in this third trial, because so far these teams are looking pretty even to me.
For sure. So who are you betting on? Who do you think's coming out?
You know, I think that I think Techno Badger swapped out to Nox as a killer here. I think that we'll see a higher mobility character. I think we'll see possibly an Oni here.
Ooh, Oni is also would be really good, but he has to get that early game pressure for sure.
Yeah, and that'll be difficult. It'll be something we have to watch for sure. Definitely, guys, let's go ahead and review some of those build rules while we load in here. It will be fast. We'll probably have to go to the game here pretty soon. But guys, yellow add-ons and items, only one perk of each, with the exception of borrowed time, of course. And then there are banned perks such as Prove Thyself, Built to Last, Starstruck, Haunted Ground, Lethal Pursuer. So for sure, there are going to be some things that you just won't see within this league. And it's all for balancing, guys. Wow.
Oh, and we do see that they're not pulling any punches. They're coming out and saying, all right, we gotta put this away.
Talk about high mobility. I can't remember though. I feel like last week they brought an S tier as well. I could be wrong, but I thought they brought possibly a nurse last week, which would mean that this would be their last nurse use if that was true.
Well, let's hope not. I mean, like I said earlier, it's a little early in the season to be getting rid of your nurses. I mean, unless the nurse is not your strongest killer on your team, right?
For sure. Right now, getting that super early down, though. Good start for Nurse, but I think I heard 2 gens over here that both had pretty good progress, so it'll be interesting to see how that continues.
And to think how early in the round to have 2 gens with progress it is. So they are not playing around on Survivor side either.
No, for sure. They are playing smart, and I think that's something we've seen from Hex Girls on multiple occasions. So, for sure, love to see it if you're spectating and rooting for these survivors.
We do see that gen regressed on the dock, and Nurse never went up there, so that tells you the ruins in play.
Indeed, and we do see. I saw the blink there. I thought you just go ahead and swing at that window, but shows what I know. This is why I'm up here and not down there playing. I think
they could have gotten the grab, but I think they wanted to be safe and secure that hit. And so instead of risking it, they just said, "Okay, I'll just waste 1 blink. It's fine. Only a second." And we do see double recharge, so it doesn't even take them half the time to get their blink back.
Very, very true. And we do see far across the map is actually where the gen pops. I think if you're leaving the basement, which I would recommend, we talked about wanting that high mobility and getting lots of hook states. I think you go to the gen we're looking at right now. Yes, that one, which really wasn't progressed at all. Somebody just started touching it is what it more looks like.
I'm surprised that they're gonna continue this chase. I would think that the way they're sitting, I thought they would just push them off and go back, and that's what we're seeing.
And I think that that is for sure what we expect to see, and definitely with Eero getting put back on the second hook and progressing almost to death here. That's not we haven't had a progression yet. The progression to death would be the first progression of the game.
And I do believe there's another camaraderie because the timer has stopped.
Yeah, I would have to agree, and it looks like we're seeing a save here too. Oh my goodness, this is probably going to be a 1-for-1 trade. No, the BT hit. Was that a dead hard by the Quentin to go ahead and get out of the way?
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter for Nurse. You're not going to get very far with her 2 blinks.
But they ran in two opposite directions, so Nurse is going ahead and going after the borrowed time instead of getting the fresh hook Quentin, which is, I mean, as much as getting this kill and getting the first death here is important, that's also pretty important to not have Quentin go down and be another person to just progress to death hook, possibly.
Yeah, that's true, but you don't want to have a 3-on-1 against the Nurse. Oh, there it is. I was going to say with 4 gens left, but they do finish one in that time, so now it's a 3-on-1 with 3 gens left.
Yeah, looks like Quentin also just went ahead and reset. I expect Jazzy will reset 3, 2, 1, and probably here shortly, as Jazzy was over there with the Quentin resetting. Unless Jazzy's trying to make use of resilience, then we may not see the heal.
I'm not sure. Did Quentin have the med kit?
I believe Jazzy had the med kit.
And we do see a really tight 3-gen right here. And almost a 4-gen, but very tight 3. And we do see that there's sparks coming off of that, so Ruin is still in play.
And I was wrong. Quentin is the one with the med kit. Jazzy has a flashlight.
That's what I thought I saw. So I think what had happened was Quentin ran off, healed himself, and then Jazzy came back and then got healed.
Makes sense. Ooh, getting the stun. But Nurse doesn't really care about your pallets.
I mean, Nurse stuns after her blink, so it doesn't really matter to her.
She's like, oh no, it's just another day. Stunned again.
Yep. But they do have to be thinking that they're coming around for the flashlight.
No!
See, they should have been ready for that. They telegraphed that was gonna happen 3 times already.
Yep, definitely. That was what a play. Just what a play.
And you know, we do hear Jazzy hanging around with the clicky. Quentin running off to get help. That means that there's the gen. I was gonna say that means the other one is the one pushing the gens. So Nurse is gonna have to stop them from continuing that. Let Jazzy run around with their flashlight all they want.
Yeah, but that's kind of the mind game, isn't it? Go ahead and try to get into the mind of the killer, get under their skin a little bit. I mean,
for sure.
If you can get a killer to lose their composure, it makes the game a lot easier for you as a survivor.
Yeah, and we will see that they do find the Claudette finally, and at the same time they get hurt, Quentin gets healed.
Yeah, for sure. And like just those resets, especially because Quentin is the one with the med kit, just coming in so clutch right now, taking away the pressure of the Nurse. Right now, as good as Nurse started out, Nurse only has 3 hooks, period, right now. And you got to be wondering where Jazzy is right now. Nurse has to be fearing this pickup a little bit. No fear. Going ahead, picking up immediately.
I think they knew that Jazzy could not afford to be over there because Claudette was injured and they needed to reset. If they didn't reset, that'd be a fast down for the Nurse. She's going to get this hook and go right to that 3-gen.
You know, actually, I think that would have been a repeat. Oh, I thought I just heard somebody walking next to the shack. I don't think that our killer heard it, though. I think Jazzy's next to the shack. Gonna get saved probably soonish, or a deliverance. No, wait a minute. That's our second wind user.
It was last time.
So for sure, could be second wind again. I see Jazzy running out of there. So for sure, my kind of prediction there of Jazzy being there is true for sure. And we are seeing Nurse trying to pursue. That is second wind confirmed.
Man, this Quentin is definitely a healing machine. And Jazzy trying to get the burn on the Nurse during her blink right there. That was not an attempted blind. That was an attempted burn.
Unfortunately, not getting the burn, though, so we will see Quentin getting his second hook state here. It was really early for the unhook there. Kind of interesting, but definitely, like I told you, Jazzy tends to be a little bit more aggressive with the altruism, and we saw another example of it right there.
Yeah, and it allowed the Claudette plenty of time to work on a gen. If you noticed, this is what has been happening this whole game. someone takes the pressure, Jazzy harasses, the other survivor does a gen, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It's unfortunate that this person is hooked in the 3 gen, but it is not as tight because they did break the really close gen. They have 2 here and 1 a little bit further away, but it's not too far that the nurse can't, capitalize on it.
Yeah, and for sure, like you said, the camaraderie already being gone. This is unfortunate that you're hooked in the 3 gen because you can't extend the time anymore, but it is not insurmountable by any means.
If I was this nurse, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would be going to that gen because I guarantee they're doubled up on it right now.
I mean, even still, as loose as this 3 gen is, I mean, we've seen time and time again where some other survivors, such as Jazzy, would go ahead and go around, long way around. We'd see the scratch marks on the edge of the map, and we do see that they were doubled up here for sure, them both being right here.
Yeah, and Jazzy's going to try to get in their head and make them chase them long enough, but I don't think they're going to fall for it. All they need to do is not leave that gen. Because these other gens don't have any progress. He knows that they're over here. Just don't leave this gen, and he'll be all set. Don't fall for the bait. Don't go for the chase. Wait for this gen to regress.
Really interesting, though. These survivors had gone ahead and they pressured out those gens without taking out Ruin. And now Ruin seems to be almost a little bit more of their friend right now, isn't it?
It does, because they don't have the ability to pop these gens. But if you do see the Claudette trying to sneak behind, and I'm pretty sure the nurse saw that. So they're going to get the hit on Jazzy, maybe even down them. And they know that the Claudette is nowhere near this gen. They have nothing to worry about. They know that the gen in the distance has no progress. They're going to go ahead and hook Jazzy. I was going to say, hopefully you don't go away. But there does not seem to be a close enough hook where they would want, so they're just going to drop her here, and they're going to go across the map and go get that Claudette.
I think that's a smart play, honestly. We do hear that it sounds like this gen is regressing further, of course. Wow.
There's the
deliverance.
So right now, if I was the killer, I would not be chasing them. I would go back to my gens, because the Claudette is definitely over there working on a gen. This decisive is going to last 60 seconds. It takes 80 seconds to do a gen by yourself. I would not be chasing right now.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like we will go ahead and drop chase there. So smart by our nurse. I don't know. Do you get there in time, though? I think it's the further gen is going to be where our Claudette is.
I don't think she went that far. Wow. I think she went for this one. Which is interesting. I would have went to the far one so that you have the furthest distance, because she can't cover that distance in 2 blinks.
No, for sure. That was my thought as well. So really interesting. They may be waiting to reset Jazzy.
Yeah, I believe that's what's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be enough, because as you see, this gen is now dead. That far gen is dead, and I'm pretty certain that this one right here is almost dead.
Actually, did I just see smokes coming off of that? Somebody was on it. I'd stay near this gen. Your other gens are dead, so just stay here until this one's completely dead.
Yep, and that was a attempt to pull him away with that fast vault, that purpose fast vault.
Mm-hmm.
And we do see scratch marks over there.
So for sure, here's the split between the 2 gens. It looks like they're not electing to take the furthest gen, which I would say the only reason not to do that would be if you fear there being more of a dead zone, or like think that there's nothing for you to use to stay out of a bad chase with the nurse. So might be smart. We actually don't know which gen the healthier survivor is attempting to finish, so I
do see that they see them right there, and they do see that the gens are dead. All the gens are dead.
For sure. Yep, go ahead and drop down here, see where your survivor is.
Yeah, she's blendetting. There you go. I was gonna say she's blending. She's not running. That was a unfortunate blink. That's not where they wanted to land.
You know, I think it's fine though. Oh, stunned out of the blink. Unfortunate for nurse.
Yeah, And luckily, it was one blink. If it was two blinks, she would have had that extended stun animation. But she's gonna opt to go back and check on this gen, and no progress. So unless Jazzy snuck all the way around to that gen over there, I don't see here any progress on any of these gens.
Wow, that's crazy. That is so much pressure for Immortal Alliance. You gotta be thinking that they are feeling great about that.
Yeah, this is going to turn into a time crunch, really. So the nurse is in a perfect position. The best case scenario right now is that Jazzy and Jade definitely heal up, find the ruin, and then reassess the situation. Because otherwise, you're not getting anywhere, and I think they know that.
I don't know. I would say if I'm the nurse as well, I'm exploring the map looking for these resetting survivors.
Yeah, I wouldn't be hanging out over here. You know, ruin's going to do work for you. I think what they don't want to do though is inadvertently bring them to the ruin. I think is what they're trying not to do.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but at the same time, like, you can probably call where the survivors are healing up, right? Like, I would expect that right there they're healing up in Maine, probably in the underside of Maine.
Yeah, I would expect for sure that they're at the dock. You know, we did see Jazzy fastfall over at the pier, but I think that was just literally to pull their attention away from the Claudette being over here.
Definitely very possible. We are seeing for sure, though, those survivors are not even really attempting to come over here right now. We're in definitely a stalemate.
Yeah, I think they're trying to find the ruin. That's what you gotta hope that they're doing. This is the point in the game. Like I said, sometimes when you end up in these 3 gens, this is where the time gets consumed. And with a nurse, they don't have much of a chance at all from stopping her, because the best case scenario is the nurse catches one, hooks one, the other one finds Hatch. That's best case scenario right now.
You know, I feel like if teams listening to you say that right now, teams taking that as a challenge.
I mean, I know it seems like they're just gonna, you know, this isn't pubs. The nurse is not gonna quit this game, so they have to do something.
Yeah, and I mean, especially for IA here being the nurse and having advantage going into this, you really got to think, yeah, there's no way they're giving this up.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, they're not gonna chase too far away from here. The survivors, I guarantee, are slowly walking the map looking for ruin, trying not to leave any scratch marks to give away where they are. Nurse is gonna start scooting out a little bit, though. I think she's getting a little antsy, and I think the survivors are trying to get in her head, like, "Hey, come get us! Hey, come get us!"
I would have to agree, and I mean, pretty good tactic, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good tactic. It's not a fun one, but it's working. It's pulling the nurse away a little bit. She's looking for any signs of life and not seeing it. You know, so you gotta hope that they're not just sitting in a corner and not playing. But hopefully they're regrouping, reassessing, and they're gonna find a way to attack this situation.
Yeah, for sure. You would for sure hope that somebody didn't put the controller down and take a bathroom break or something, right? But
Right.
For sure, we're waiting to see if our nurse decides to leave here and pressure, because I think, like you said, these survivors are looking, and really, when you're looking for a totem on this map, you're walking the edge,
there it
just
is.
like we see here, that edge totem going down.
And now they know where at least one is.
And it's
Jazzy.
So definitely, with there being this long before Ruin is popped, we haven't seen Claudette. Where was Claudette hiding?
I am sure she was hiding by the gen, and Jazzy was looking for the totem.
You know, I think that's definitely fair assessment. That's what I was gonna say is, I expect, I mean, we're at what? This is going on 22, 23 seconds here. We may see here in about another minute or so a gen pop if Jazzy, cannot extend this
Nice
further.
blink. So they're gonna get hooked, and hopefully the nurse is smart enough to bring her back towards her area.
Oh wow, that hook was already used. Do
Yep,
you
she's gonna
make
have to
it?
hook way over here. Yeah, they get to this one, but I don't know that they get to the gen now.
I think they can with the double blink. I think it'll be tough though. Depends
Well,
on which gen
they do
they're
have
on.
pop, but if they are on that far gen, I don't know that they make it.
That's the smart gen to be on, which they're not on this gen right here, it seems. Oh, they were. Pop it. Oh,
Yep.
look at that, 2 pistons. Now,
And
where
then
is our
they're
Claudette?
playing Blendette games.
Oh my
And
goodness. Jazzy
Jazzy
has
gives
killed
up.
himself.
Yep, they give up on the hook to hope. Like I said, hope for hatch play. That's all. That's the best they can hope for in this situation is that the Claudette finds the hatch.
And with Nurse's mobility, you gotta think that's a tall tale. Or a tall task.
Yeah, Nurse is really hoping she finds it first.
I don't think she will. I think it must be at main.
Potentially. I do think she has the upper hand. I think that the Claudette went towards Shaq.
Where
This
is
is-
this hatch?
This is a race to find the hatch. And I'm sure it's going to be on the outskirts somewhere.
Oh, I hate it when hatch actually spawns on the outskirts. Like, literally my least favorite thing. Whenever it happens,
all the time on
I
these
know.
friggin' swamp maps too.
it's just horrible. I just hate it.
And both the survivor and killer must be panicking right now. Where's the hatch? Where's the hatch?
Ooh,
Yep, and they
Survivor
do
wins
get
the
the
race.
hatch. See, that's the best they can hope for is the single escape through the hatch.
So for sure, bringing the nurse turns out being a great call. 12-point lead for Immortal Alliance.
And they really needed that. That's the first shift really in the 0-point game, right? You know, what it was 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Now it's a bigger gap, and that's what they need.
For sure. And so that does mean that they gained 11 points on Hex Girls that match in order to have their 12-point lead, because they already did have a 1-point lead before. So extending it by 11 points that match, you gotta expect we're gonna see Jazzy come back as killer. And do you think that they pull out an S tier themselves?
Ooh, you know, if they want this win, 11 points is not unattainable without an S tier. They gotta hope for the 4K, right? They need that.
Yep.
Because if they get another 3K like they did, that's probably just gonna tie the game. They need a 4K, and the survivors did not finish the last gen, right? So if they need to kill them before they finish the gens, really, to keep that point gap.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, yeah, they might have to. They might have to pull out a S tier. Let's see. So if they kill all of them with 3 gens left, I think that's enough, right? Because it's, what is that? Well, it also depends on progressions too, right?
Yeah, if they finish 3 gens, then that's 4 points for IA, which would put them at 51. And if Hex Girls can 4K, depending on progressions, they could score anywhere from 26 to 30. I think 26 being the lowest.
Yeah.
So
they might even be able to get away.
I think all the gens can be done. Just don't let anyone escape.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think you need the 4K to pull the point sway in your favor at this point.
Yeah, I think if anybody goes ahead and has an escape, even a hatch escape, I don't know if you win. Because remember, like, having the hatch escape that round didn't just deny the 3 points or whatever to the nurse. It denied any progressions as well, but it also denies the bonus points, 2 bonus points, for getting the 4K. So it's quite a bit of points that the killer ends up losing out on, all because of that hatch find. So same thing here. If we see a 3K with the hatch escape, believe that it's going to result in an Immortal Alliance win.
Yeah, I believe that's what it would be. Man, this is coming down to the wire for sure. You know, they're showing each other like, hey, we want this win, right? Because this has been a very tight game all the way up until that nurse game. So I kind of feel like Hex Girls have to answer that call.
I would agree, and I think definitely when you have a killer like Jazzy on your team that is just kind of cracked with most of the S tiers, you got to think, if you want to go ahead and just clinch the win and you're going, no, really, this is our win, this is where you pull out the S tier.
Loving the in-game banter. They're telling them to bring in Insidious Trapper.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny. I in pubs actually recently I went up against an Insidious Basement Trapper, and so it first time I've seen that in a while, but for sure, like, went ahead, surprised Survivor. I, of course, was the one who got hooked first, so I was in the basement. But the Survivor that came down, I think, got freaked out by Trapper coming out of nowhere and the terror radius just appearing, that they actually tried to 360 into a trap in the basement, and it's like immediate facepalm. So
panic. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think that works here in comp.
I would have to agree, but
I mean, you get in the same situation you did with the Bubba, right? You get the one on the hook, sit there. Gen's gonna fly. You can't afford it.
Mm-hmm. Especially because the thing that happens here that doesn't necessarily happen in pubs is the communication piece. I mean, how often do you see survivors, like, immediately after being out of chase, within 8 to 10 seconds later, they're healed again, and it's like, well, that means that you had to find somebody within like 3 seconds from getting off of chase. Well, that's because of their communication.
Yep. I also, I love Trapper. He's one of my favorite killers. But he just doesn't have the kit for what they need.
You're right. Do you think twins? I don't think I've seen Jazzy play twins very often, though. But that might be exactly the reason to do it.
Twins is not a terrible idea. But the difference with twins versus like a huntress is there's a lot of low objects, but there's a lot of objects. So there's a lot to play around with Victor. But it could work. Twins could work. Wraith in this map could be good. Get that speed, catch people off guard. That's
true. But seeing how these guys have been so far, we're gonna see Immortal Alliance here. They went ahead. They were pretty altruistic. I feel like twins or the huntress might be more effective than a wraith, just because of the way. Well, part of the ways they were staying grouped up, and then trying to split after being found in a group, but also just being close to the hooks. Like, we saw Nancy go down there trying to make the camaraderie play, and then ended up having 2 hooks in the 3-gen. So, I think definitely.
I think they're gonna have to answer with a S tier. I really do, just because both of these teams have been playing so efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
that if you don't have the mobility, it's gonna hurt you.
Maybe.
I'd love to see a Freddy personally. Bring Freddy. He'll do great.
You know,
He'll do so good on this map.
it's interesting to see that Freddy used to be like seen quite often, but it does seem like the Freddy uses have become less and less in comp lately, especially after the rework.
I think that he suffers because they removed his punishment for being in the dream world, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole regression thing is not like it used to be. And that's where he shined. He used to be able to cut off loops a little better. He still can. He still can teleport. He still gets a lot of use out of stuff like Tinkerer. But yeah, he's just dropped a couple pegs.
Yeah, and I mean that's okay though. I mean it's definitely fun to see how the balancing changes how people use them in comp, and how a killer that might be great in pubs ends up being bad in comp. Because I think you can ask people that play in pubs a lot, they may say like Hag is really, really powerful in pubs. Not so much in comp though.
You don't see her anymore, man. She used to be so good. And you don't see her anymore. I don't see anybody playing Hag, so I think I'm going to start maining her again and bring her back.
I would have to agree, and we're gonna go ahead and see here what killer do we see. We do see a return of the nurse. So nurse versus nurse, who has the better nurse round will decide the entire match.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think they can afford not to answer with that such a high point deficit. It's not a high point deficit, but the way this match has been 1 point, that's a lot. Going from 1 to 11.
I would have to agree, and it looks like nobody's at this main building here. We have a pretty friendly Corrupt, but we do see survivors having to get off the gen here, and we do see the Ruin.
Yep, we do see sparks flying off that generator, so that does tell us that there is a Ruin in play, and they are just holding W. Get away from the nurse. That's what they're trying to do right now. Oh, and a near miss on Nox. Looks like Jezzy's gonna decide to let that one go and turn back around and focus on some gens over here.
I think you have to. It looks like there were 2 people up here, right?
I was gonna say that already looked like 2 pistons were going.
Yeah.
And yeah, 2 pistons were going already.
Ruin will make some short work of that, but you got to worry about where the rest of the map pressure is. I think that they are at the dock, obviously at this gen over here, and the gen at Shack, so I think that's quite a bit of pressure. I don't know that unless Jazzy can start getting some hits and quick downs as the nurse here, I think that they have to just lose a gen.
Yeah, I think if you're in Jazzy's shoes right now, you're trying to keep your composure, right? Because it's so easy to get panicked with the point spread that you might end up playing against yourself, right? So you gotta just take it slow and do what you do, right?
Right. And interestingly enough, we do see our Corrupt leave here, and we do see our Claudette, and we get the down. And we didn't even have to give up a gen yet, but I do think a gen's gonna fly off probably here in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, and it's a little unfortunate that it took them the entire Corrupt to get somebody. So she's basically, a 3-perk nurse at this point.
For sure. But interestingly enough, listen to that. That gen is still, like, not as close as I thought it would be to getting finished. So, Nurse honestly still has a good amount of pressure, and can benefit from the survivors playing as safe as they are.
It looks like Jazzy's looking for someone over here, which is interesting. I'm not sure if they saw someone or if they're assuming that's where they went.
They saw the scratch marks for sure, but that survivor's long gone, probably going for save. I expect the save will probably be here shortly. Yeah, there they are.
Just barely didn't interrupt it. So this is a tactic that you're going to see a lot of people do. She's going to count to 12 before she swings on this person.
Oh, did she use Dead Hard there?
Oh, and they still get the stun off of the double blink. So that's going to be a long duration stun. And we do see Ruin go. And we see Ruin go a lot sooner in this match than we did in the last one.
I think that's just because the Ruin pressure has been felt by the team. I like to say it a lot, but Ruin is only a 5-star perk or a S tier perk if you have the map pressure to make it an S tier perk. So if you are not putting enough pressure down on the map, teams are not going to cleanse Ruin because it doesn't really matter to them.
Yeah, and as we see, there's the heal coming through. Ace coming in to distract a little bit. They do finish another gen, and Ace is going to try to bring this chase back to the dock. Doesn't get the distance he was looking for, but he does pull the nurse quite a bit away from the rest of the gen. So you're hoping that they're doing some sort of a reset here. Oh, and they're
working on the
so
gen
close.
right there.
Yeah, that's not where I would be expecting them. And
Especially
now,
not staying there.
Yep. And we do see the heal come off, so I'm wondering if they're going to chase Nox or let them go again. I think they're going to let them go and just kind of keep an eye on this 3-gen right here.
And I think that's smart. Like, go ahead, keep an eye on your 3-gen. Try to see where the other survivors try to attack. But if you don't have the 3-gen, since it is really escapes that are mattering to you here, you can let all the gens go, but you want nobody escaping. I think you really are trying to make them snowball, make them make plays to get more of the hook states out there, to where you have all the pressure down at the last gen.
That was a nice maneuver there by Nox just to narrowly avoid that nurse hit right there, but they're probably going to go down here. Yep. Jazzy is doing a really good job with their blink efficiency. But is it going to be enough? They're going to have to get back to this hook. And you would hope that, we have not seen Techno or Dark for a little bit, so hopefully Jen's about to pop here any second.
I don't... Ooh, there it is. What a prediction there, for sure. I was going to say, I don't know, I felt the same way when we were at 5 gens and had that long chase that lasted the entire Corrupt, but we hadn't seen a gen pop. I was questioning whether or not these survivors were as worried about objectives as they are about healing here, because we've seen so many resets and those objectives. I mean, we've only seen one per hook go off, but we've definitely spent enough time for all of the gens to be near complete.
Look at that Hawkeye of Jazzy just to see like Ace in the distance there, just almost able to get to him, but they're gonna try to push this to second stage. Nox has been like the annoyance, their thorn in their side this whole match, right? Taking the chases away, getting the unhooks, so that they're hoping that to get rid of them as soon as possible.
Deliverance.
And a deliverance as soon as the nurse left, and they do get the body block, so they're gonna get a free hit here.
Free hit, and then the blinks. Did you notice how they didn't hit until the blink recharge was already there?
Yep.
Not pursuing though.
No, they're just gonna push them off a little bit because they're hoping, that they're working inside their 3-gen, which is smart because they had not seen the Nia for a long time. And look at that gen, 3 pistons going. Oh, is that 2? It looked like 3.
I think it's the start of the 3rd.
Nia's a little clicky, come get me.
I feel that way sometimes. You just wanna have somebody want you as bad as you want you sometimes. Yep, I understand, Nia.
Yeah, they're just feeling themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The nurses, unfortunately, missed that double blink hit right there, and they do get them down. But you have to assume. Yep, I was just gonna say that Ace was on a gen. They had to assume that, and that is unfortunately for IA not gonna get rid of the 3-gen.
Yeah, in fact, confirms the 3 gen there, right? And now
Yep.
with the survivor being on like the backside of the 3 gen, we'll probably see Jazzy just patrol these gens that have the progress on them. And
I'm surprised that they popped that one and not the one that was further along.
I'm surprised a little bit as well, but the gen that's right here by the hook actually is probably less on their priority list, just because you can pressure it a little bit easier from where you were at.
And we do see that Nox goes down, and I'm gonna assume that Nox is also the D strike, since they had the deliverance. So they might be trying to work that against the nurse here.
Yeah, possibly. Definitely unlucky going ahead and having to trade here again just to save people's hook states.
Yeah, this is not looking very good for them with this 3 gen positioning. The nurse can get to each gen within one blink.
Oh man, there's Claudette getting injured here. Hopefully, yep, no chase given. Wow, almost running out of charge of that Pop Goes the Weasel, but getting use out of it still.
And I think the nurse knows that Nox has the D strike and is just going to let him go. Because there's no need for them to go after them. It's just going to be a waste of their time.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, don't go for somebody that you know is just going to extend chase anyway, or that as soon as you down them, you have to leave them there for a while, because likely somebody's just going to come pick them up anyway.
Yep, and we do see them reusing this hook right at the 3 gen. You know, it's a simple rinse repeat right now, but once that hook is gone, the game will be a little bit harder. And we do see this gen with quite a bit of progress. That was very fast, but it's going to get popped right down. Probably one piston left. Yep, down to one piston.
Unfortunate to see.
That was a lot of progress in a short time, though. So that's probably, again, the Nia looks like the Nia and the Claudette have been the gen pushers, and everyone else has kind of been like collateral.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Oh no, walking right back in.
Don't pick them up. D strike.
I don't think so. It's been enough time.
Oh, I think it was just barely out. I was counting in my head.
Yeah, me too, and that's why I was saying, like, right as that down happened, had to have been like 2 seconds left, 1 second left, or whatever, and yeah. I was like, I think it's gone. I think we're actually in safe zone.
Nicely done. Well, that will be, you know, it's a different game, right? So the other nurse had someone dead with 3 gens left. This one didn't get one dead till 1 gen remained.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting. Jazzy normally playing a little bit stronger, but you gotta wonder, what kind of build is Jazzy bringing on their nurse?
Yeah, I think if I was them, I would be trying my best to get rid of everybody before the gens finish. And for if the gens finish, I don't want anyone going anywhere. So hopefully they have something in store for that.
Yeah.
And here we go. They're returning the favor with the clicky clickies, as Jazzy was doing in the first game.
You know, unfortunately though, they weren't looking where they were going, and they decided to hug a tree. And hugging a tree, in this case, was a death sentence.
Yep. And here we see them again using this hook for their advantage. I'll hook you here, and I can one blink to each of my gens, no problem. And they do finish the gen. Barely finishing it before the nurse gets there.
Also, look at the timing of that. Got the hit off, but then has the adrenaline go ahead and kick in just to heal Ace as soon as the hit happened. Just crazy.
Yep. And we do see Techno Badger go down, and we do get an auditory warning, which does tell us no way out.
Indeed, and the unhook on Nia tells us which door they were actually out as well. So we'll see the pressure start to go that way.
These doors are not in the best distance for the nurse, right? Like they're close, but she can't see both of them at the same time. So she's gonna have to utilize her blinks to really find where they are going.
I think as well, we talked about IA only needing just 4 escapes in order to win, right? Or an escape to win.
Yeah, I
Just a
think they just
single
need
escape.
one out.
So knowing that, I mean these guys can go ahead and get that kind of pressure really easily here. Leave Techno Badger there and go ahead and try to get even the 2 out. We see them kind of far away from the door though instead.
They do find a survivor way out here. I don't know what they were doing over here.
Oh, and they won't see Techno Badger get saved, of course. You gotta hope that Nia may have gotten seen on purpose in order to just be right here and allow for that door to get open. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they need to not go down here, and it doesn't. Oh, it doesn't look like they're gonna make it out.
Did you notice that fatigue bug?
I did,
Oh,
and they do get the. Oh no, that's gonna be a 2 out.
And
Nicely done.
Do it.
Nicely done. We see a very different nurse game that time, right? It was more late game than early game, but they still couldn't quite cut them off. You know, they still got the 2 out. The other nurse held them to the very end, and you know, man, that was a good return, nurse to nurse.
For sure, and we do see some really good just banter in the, or not even banter, just good sportsmanship in the post-game chat between the 2 teams. This was definitely super crazy. Look, we end with a 3-point difference between IA and Hex Girls. That is insane.
So I think let's do the math here. So I think if Jazzy would have got that last kill, that would have been what? So Nia had been hooked once, so that'd be a hook and a progression.
Everybody was death hook at that point. So
okay,
actually,
so that would have been
with one more out, you would have taken 2 points away from the total for IA right now, and you would have given 3 points to Hex Girls. 1 down was the difference between this game.
Yep, like if they would have caught him at that door, they would have won. That's incredible to come back from an 11-point deficit to be able to say we you barely escaped. You know,
that's just insane.
I do think that maybe the ace could have healed teched there, but I'm not sure.
Didn't even need to. Didn't go down.
No, but I mean, if they did go down,
yeah.
I think they could have gotten it.
You know,
man, that was close.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Maybe they get that, but I don't know that you even want to.
Oh no, I know that right there at the end, for sure. Jazzy's blink bug stopped him from getting that hit. Ugh. Like as you saw, there was the blink bug, but
yeah,
even then, I think the ace might have been able to get them out. Still, it would have been really close.
Yeah, I think it would have been close, but I think Jazzy would just elect to start hitting ace. Don't you think?
Well, that's what I mean. So he would have downed Nia, right? Got fatigued. Nia would start to crawl. Ace would do the heal tech, get hit, and they would start to crawl. Then they would get hit, and then they both crawl out. I'm not sure if they had the distance. It would be really, really, really close.
And that's the thing. I for sure don't think. I think if that fatigue bug didn't happen, you don't have the distance, right? Because I don't think that she even makes it to the door without the fatigue bug.
Well, she was just in the doorway when the fatigue bug happened, so they would have hit them right at the door, and I think you have to be a little bit ways in the door to get the heal tech. Mm-hmm. But either way, that was so close.
Yeah, it definitely was close. And we are going to have Crypto coming into the interrogation room to go ahead and have our interview for the night. And so it'll be interesting to hear how stressful it was for the teams in this matchup. So Crypto, for sure, welcome into the interrogation room.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For sure.
You must have been like chomping at the bit at the end there.
Yeah, that wake up really helped us get out there. That was really, really close.
Ooh, I don't even think that we were even thinking about that, but yeah, wake up definitely coming in clutch to get you that door open and get you guys out.
Yeah, that wake up helped us a ton there, getting that door open quickly.
Did Nia purposefully go that way to try to pull the nurse away so you could do that?
Yes, that was the entire point there.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
The entire point was to pull the nurse away so that we could get the gen done and the door open.
Nice. And I mean, it worked to perfection. You guys did an excellent job holding Chase as well. You guys seem very well practiced against Nurse.
Yeah, as you saw, we have a nurse main and I'm a nurse main too, so we have a ton of practice against Nurse.
Isn't it interesting, like, in the comp setting at least, like, teams fear the S tiers, but at the same time, not so much as like a B tier killer, right? Because you're so used to playing them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, that Bubba game really threw us off. Bubba game threw us off, and it was a really well played Bubba match though on Jazzy's part.
Oh, absolutely. This whole game all the way through was amazing. Just to watch how well both teams played, pretty much on an even plane, right? It was like a 1 point, and then a 1 point, and then at one you guys got the 11 point, and then they bring it back to a 3 point. Like that must have been an intense game.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, we felt like we should have got 3 out there, because we felt like we kind of lacked a gen pressure at the end of the game, because we felt like, our team especially felt like we could have got 3 out there, but things happened, and they came back on us because they're a really strong nurse.
Yeah, I think it was unfortunate. I think that you guys accidentally left that 3 gen, right? Because that's not a typical 3 gen, but it was 1 blink for nurse to each gen.
Yeah, it was a brutal 3 gen.
I'm certain that they had D strike and they were hoping for it.
So our Deli player did have D strike, but they healed themselves with medkit, so their D strike went away and they got insta picked. It was unfortunate.
I think I was counting. I think they would have still had some time left. Oh man.
Yes, they had just a few seconds.
Dang. I was thinking that they were it had just expired, but definitely that is unfortunate, going ahead trying to heal yourself with the med kit and then just immediately getting blinked on.
Yeah, it was just super unfortunate.
Did your guys' game plan change anywhere after the second game, right? Because at that point you must have seen, wow, we're neck and neck here, we got to do something.
Yeah, so our original idea was to play P-Head and then for me to play Freddy, since Freddy does decently well on that map. But then we decided that the point was too close and we just wanted to pull through with the win, so we let our nurseman go out and play.
Nice. That was a good choice. It definitely gave you guys the opportunity to allow yourself a little breathing room in that last game.
Yeah, it helped a ton because we had no clue what killer they would play next or how close that match would end up being. So we wanted to go ahead and conceal that win for us.
You guys did a really good job to go ahead and clinch the win. And really, like, I say clinch there, and yeah, I was definitely over here clenching my chair of trying to figure out who was going to win this. I mean, we just talked about it. The fact that if Nancy had gone down there and gotten hooked, that's a Hex Girls win. Like, for sure. Did you guys know win condition before going in and knew that you needed the 2 out?
Yes, we knew that we needed a 2 out before this happened.
Nice. Yeah, that was so close there at the end with the Nia. I mean, That just also shows their capability of running, right? Because they took the chase so you could get the door and still made it from the pier all the way back to the door.
Yeah, we knew
Against
they
the
would
nurse,
make it
yeah.
out because Nia had Dead Hard and I could take a hit. And due to hit validation being added to Dead Hard, it was guaranteed that they weren't getting hit through Dead Hard.
Yeah, that whole new dead hard hit validation really annoys me, but it works. It works. You know, I mean,
It
it's
works
what
well.
it's supposed to do, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No more exhausted on ground. Gotta love it. Like,
Yeah, but
I wouldn't touch that perk before.
It's so detrimental to a killer like the nurse, right? Because they get that hit validation, but nurse still gets the stun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Blight main. Like, I main Blight religiously. It is so irritating. Like, Dead Hard is the bane of my existence when I play killer.
Yeah. But I mean, you guys did a great showing today, and you showed that, you know, is just as good, if not better, than some of these teams. And you guys literally were neck and neck. And then you said, you know what? No, we need to change this. And you did. And you forced them to use a nurse week 2.
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of the whole idea here. We know that Hex Girls is one of the stronger teams in the league, so we said we want to clinch this win and bring out Nurse and hopefully force them to pull out an S2 too.
Yeah, I was thinking that they didn't have a choice. With like I said, 1 point, 11 points, they needed to do something.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping. We were thinking since Jazzy was playing killer, I know Jazzy is a extremely strong Twins player, so we were thinking we were going to see something along the lines of like Twins or Spirit. We were not expecting Nurse at all.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but I figured Jazzy was going to bring a nurse to nurse, because Jazzy is a very good nurse player as well.
Yes, Jazzy is an extremely good Nurse player.
Yeah, I expected the nurse. I remembered Jazzy playing Twins, but I couldn't remember if Jazzy was like amazing or not at Twins, and so I was like, maybe a Twins play, but nurse is where my head was at. And so for sure, seeing the nurse and seeing how you guys performed against nurse, I think that goes to show, like, there are just certain teams that they have a good nurse player, that they're prepared for it, and you may just want to pull somebody else out if you're trying to catch them off guard, right?
Yeah, like I'm a Twins player as well, so before this we were practicing to see if I would play Twins on this map. This map is rough for Twins. I was having some trouble sometimes, so we would have been a little surprised if we had saw Twins.
Yeah, it's all those small obstacles. They just get in Victor's way. You guys must really feel good though that you used the nurse, but you won using a nurse, right?
Yeah, that felt really good. That's what we were worried about, was burning one of our nurse slots and then losing. That would have been detrimental.
Yeah, I'm sure that, Hex Girls are not too happy about it. I mean, this was a great game, both sides, but you have to come away thinking we used nurse and it worked,
Yeah, it was a really good feeling once we won. We were all celebrating in the VC, so.
You guys' comms must have been insane.
Yeah, they were. They were all over the place at some point, and then we bring it back, and we clinched for the 2 out.
That's amazing. Well, we'll try not to keep you too much longer so you could celebrate with your team for sure. Anything you want to say to the fans of Vigos and the fans of IA?
Yeah, y'all got to keep an eye out for us because we are coming for that top spot.
Oh.
I just have to say, you guys have a really nice logo.
Yeah, thank you.
I wonder who did that, Fear. I really wonder who did that logo.
I don't know, some guy.
Some guy. So for those that don't know, that is Fear the Dark Wolf right here with that graphic design that he does so well. So for sure, if you may be in need or anything, hit your boy up. Like, right?
Around.
Yeah, he's around. He's around. So for sure, League kind of being put on notice by IA here. IA saying, hey, we're here to gun for that top spot, so we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on you.
Yeah, we are definitely coming for that top spot. We plan to be one of the best in the league.
Keep at it, and congratulations again on your win, guys. Like, seriously great game, both sides.
Yeah, thank you. That was a really close game, and Hex Girls overall played extremely well. We would love to play them again, and it was a really good challenge for us.
You know, it's really, really, really nice to see in comp how people are, you know, being kind to each other and really enjoying the comp aspect of it. You know, not trying to be toxic or anything. You guys are here to play, doing your best. You win, you win. You lose, you lose. Everyone's kind. You guys had a great end game chat. I love to see it.
Yeah, that's the thing about comp. It's competitive. We're gonna be competitive towards each other, but at the same time, we gotta recognize each other's skill and give each other that compliment when it's needed or when it's deserved and earned.
For sure. All right, and so guys, we will see Immortal Alliance convicted of murder today. So that'll be all for us tonight. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern, and 9 p.m. Eastern. So definitely keep it here. You don't have to be up as early tomorrow as we normally have, though, if you're looking to catch one of the Vigos matches. We don't have our normal 1 p.m. Eastern. So sleep in a little bit. Enjoy it. You've earned it.
Yeah, get rested and come back.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm gonna head out though now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah.
All right, guys, and so that's gonna be it from us. Court is adjourned.
Bye.
Make you know